Northwestern and Indiana. Northwestern and Indiana from Evanston. This game is in the second half. And with 10 minutes to go, Luke Goody makes a three. And Indiana, they're ahead 50-49. Then Umar Ballo has a dunk. It's 52 to 49. And then from that point on, everything unraveled. Northwestern finished the game strong, and they win this game. They closed. They looked better down the stretch. They made the plays they needed to. Brooks Barnhizer, he goes for 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and a face plant. Brooks, we hope you're okay. You're one of the toughest guys in the sport. Indiana drops to 5-4 in the Big Ten, and they're 14-6, and they're any bubble talk, they're right there. CJ, I'm going to start with you here. Obviously for Northwestern, you give them credit. They're tough in Evanston. 10 of their 13 wins have come there. But for IU, this is a game that they're leading. They've got veterans. They've got talent. They just can't pull through. What do you make of Indiana's status?
Well, I have a hard time watching them. I didn't watch tonight because I have a hard time watching them. There were too many other good games on for me to pay attention to the Hoosiers, and I think they're a really flawed team. I think that they have some nice pieces, but they could probably make some trades. If you could make mid-season trades in college basketball, I think they'd be looking to move probably Omar Ballo. They'd be looking to get another connector in there, another guard that can make some shots and guard a little bit, because defensively they aren't good enough. It doesn't surprise me that they couldn't get stops down the stretch. If you can put Omar Ballo in action and you can get him out trying to guard on the perimeter, they're toast. So they just have too many holes to beat good teams, to win on the road. They did get Ohio State's talented, and they did get a good win at Ohio State this weekend. So they have been, a little bit all over the place. But I guess if you catch them on the right night, they look all right. But I've caught them on too many nights where it's just they're too frustrating.
Go ahead, Mike. What's your take here? And what do you think of Indiana and their NCAA tournament hopes?
Not great, Bob. For Indiana. Look, I was actually really encouraged by the way Indiana closed that first half. I mean, there was a moment there after the OSU road win, and felt like a page was turning. And I talked about a month ago about just, hey, can they simplify things defensively? Stop with all the switching 5 ways off the ball, on the ball. Stop with the nail help, getting yourself out of position. There was just too much going on where I thought guys were thinking too much, and it was just kind of leading to like a paralysis on the court defensively. And so, there were times where I think they've changed that. They've gotten more to like a kind of a bare bones defense, which I think they needed. But then tonight, you can simplify your scheme, but if you're not assignment sound and understand personnel, it doesn't matter. Like, you got Ty Berry, who shoots 38% from 3, and it's like, in how many different ways do you want to blow the matchup? Hey, they're going to go to a dribble handoff, and we're going to switch, but we're not going to switch up, and he's going to sit behind the dribble handoff and shoot a 3. Hey, we're going to not get attached to him when he's under the basket, coming out the other side on a pin down for a 3. And if you want to say, hey, Ty Berry's a shooter, well, we're going to run him off the line. Running him off the line is not jumping and getting up in the air and flying by a guy. That's not running a guy off the line. That is putting your team in rotation and really crippling your defense. So there was that. And Northwestern, give Northwestern a lot of credit. Like, this was a team I talked about on the last show, because Northwestern also played on that night. I was pounding the table for them preseason because I thought it was crazy they were picked 16th. And Barnhizer and Martinelli, man, like, these are two guys that I think are two of the more underrated. It's probably the most underrated tandem in college basketball. And Barnhizer in particular, just, last year he put up numbers that hadn't been done in this conference since Draymond Green. And he's doing it again this year. And like he's a potential, if Northwestern can win a little bit more, he's in like the first team all Big Ten conversation. That's how much he impacts the game. But look, Northwestern's going to matchup hunt. That's what they do. They go to the back downs. Who's Martinelli got? Who's Barnheiser got? Who do we want them to have? And we're going to try to get enough switches to get that matchup. Tonight wasn't Martinelli or Barnheiser matchup hunt. They're matchup hunting whoever's on Ty Berry. And it was Mbako, and it was Leal, and it was Goody. I mean, it didn't matter. They were running all sorts of actions to try to completely flummox that Indiana defense, and they were successful. So it's hard to overcome 13 threes when you know it's already a team that plays defense well, that takes care of the ball. You give them 13 threes, they're too good in other areas for you to win that game. So we can talk about their tournament hopes and everything, but their next 7 games are Maryland, Purdue, Wisconsin, Michigan, Michigan State, UCLA, and Purdue again. Where are the wins?
Well,
where are the wins? Like if you're going to guard like that, I don't know where the wins are.
They better win. They better win on Sunday. They're at home Sunday against Maryland. Now, Maryland, let's face it, Kevin Willard has not been good on the road at Maryland. They have really struggled when they get outside of College Park. That's a big game. I mean, and at some point you feel like Maryland. Here's the thing with Indiana. We all know right now they could come out. They have a slow start. Those fans turn, and this thing goes south. Why? We've already watched it. We have watched this already. So when you're saying where are the wins coming from, the answer right now would be nowhere. Because you're at Purdue, you're at Wisconsin. Michigan's a better team than you. I think Michigan's a Final Four dark horse if they piece it all together with the different ways that they can play. Then you're at Michigan State. But before any of that, if you're losing those games, you are not going to the NCAA tournament. Right now, they're in the last 4 in our Fielding the 68, which releases twice a week. They do an amazing job. Mondays, Fridays, they're great. But this is not a tournament team. I mean, I just don't think that they end up making it.
It's crazy. Like and I'm just sorry to like hop in here again, but it kind of brings me to my point again about like we talk about the net and what's your net so that you can get in the NCAA tournament. And this is why I have such a problem with people that like just say the net's trash and it's a horrible metric. You get penalized. Like people said over the years, okay, if you schedule lightly, it favors you in the net. Sure, if you blow the doors off that team, but if you don't, you get heavily penalized. And Indiana scheduled lightly. They had 3 games against mid majors. They won by single digits, so that's not going to help you. And then every like really good team that they've played, they've gotten run out of the gym. So that's why your net is the way it is. And so I don't think it's a bad tool at all, because there's risk both ways. If you schedule a strong non-conference like North Carolina did, you keep those games close and have an average margin of defeat of around 7 points, like they have. A couple that are, you take out the Auburn game and another game, and it's more like 3 points. But you schedule tough, great. But there's also risk because you can get run out of the gym by tough teams that you schedule. So the same thing goes for when you schedule lightly. You can say, oh, they scheduled lightly and they're just going to win by 30 and help their net. It's equally as risky to schedule lightly, because if you don't take care of business, it's going to absolutely anchor your net. And we've seen that with Indiana. We've seen that with USC. There's Wake Forest is another one. And that, you get like the Wake Forest is a team, you got five 300 plus KenPom teams, and you beat them by an average of 11 points. And so I don't know why we're sitting here with Wake Forest saying like, it's crazy, the net's awful. Like and they're not going to create the net in a way that's going to be like, well, we're just going to let you get your team together. We're going to let you mesh. First 5 games of the season, you're just getting to know each other. That's not how it works. So that's a separate tangent about the net, but it's another tool that when you're looking at the NCAA tournament, like Indiana hasn't done themselves any favors in that regard.